to another live stream episode by cTalkTV. We appreciate all the love and feedback we get from everyone. Continue to do that. It's the only way we know how to get better and the only way we can relate to y'all in terms of new and exciting topics. On today's episode, we have great topics as usual. Very, very thought-provoking. I'm sure y'all will like it. I'm sure the panel up here will like it. Just to introduce everyone today, we have...
I'm Jazz Porter.
I'm Deji, being call me Chief.
Megan Kalu.
Okay. Just quick feedback, everyone, real quick. Let us know what the sound quality is like. Just want to make sure it sounds good. We've been having a few issues, so we're still trying to perfect that the best we can. While everyone is jumping into the chat, we're just going to start a little bit real quick, but not with the topics, just a little feedback on how everybody's week was. I'll start with mine. It's a very, very long, stressful week, but I'm alive and well, and thank God for every opportunity to, go out and work and be here with y'all and relate with y'all the best we can. Jazz?
I actually had a fantastic week. It was really fun. I went to Surfside Beach with my friends. And the beach is like a lot more packed than I thought it would be. And we did relay races on the beach.
Oh, nice.
So it was like being a kid again. We barbecued, vegan barbecue, and, and we just had a good time.
Well, my week was good. Just back and forth between work. I see patients, so I do physical therapy. Also been able to spend a lot of time with my son, watch him grow. And just kind of been cooking a lot, doing a lot of things on my own, working on my music too on the side. So the EP's almost done, so be on the lookout. And besides that, just working, man, really, really grinding and kind of reflecting on my own personal growth. So that's it.
Well, outside opened back up, and I was outside too, so I had a great time. I practiced social distancing, but I had a good time. I worked out every day this week, which was good because, I wanted to get back into shape and whatnot. So it was a good week. It was good. I prayed, I ate well, worked out. So it was good.
Yeah, that's good. Glad to hear everybody had a good week. That's what's up. Real quick, before we jump into the first topic, you said it pretty far. I can't remember what I was about to say. So we're going to just jump into the first topic.
It'll come back to you.
Yeah, it'll come back to me at some point. So the very first topic today, it goes, my fiancé wants my groomsmen to cut their hair so everyone can look clean cut in the picture. One of them has dreads and is not having it. He will not cut his hair. What side should I take? So this is a groomsman asking what side he should take. Should he take his bride's side or should he take his groomsman's side?
That is an extreme request for somebody to cut their dreads off.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a one-day event that is your wedding, not his wedding.
Right.
I also agree. I feel like the dreads, you put a lot of personal time and care into that. It takes a long time. I had dreads for almost 2 years, so I know. And for you to ask me to cut it off, I'd be liable to pop off on your fiance, but I wouldn't want to do that just because out of respect for you. But I'd be like, bro, come on, you gotta understand. Talk to her, try to reason with her. I always keep it clean cut. Allow me to do my thing, and then I'll come to your wedding presentable. I feel like. So.
Okay.
I feel like, you don't have, dreads can still look clean cut. You don't have to cut them all the way off in order to have that nice, shape look. At the end of the day, all you need to do is just kind of make sure it's twisted nicely. It doesn't have to be, you got to cut it all the way off. I kind of feel like if it's not his wedding, you shouldn't tell your husband-to-be's groomman how to look. It's not just your wedding, it's his wedding as well.
Right.
So if he's okay with it, then why should she be the one to dictate the entire event that day? I don't think, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that was the first thought that came to my mind. I was like, well, his dress must be looking real raggedy or something. Because, typically people take care of their hair or whatever, get a nice clean shape up on it. They can look nice and clean and presentable. But, his must be looking real jacked up. For her to be like, I might want to cut that.
Yeah, I guess thinking about her standpoint, it depends. But worst case scenario, I would say that her request would be for him not to be a groomsman rather than to cut your hair off.
Well, if that's his best friend,
Yeah, she's wrong. I think she's wrong all the way around. But I would say Cutting your hair off is like that's different than wear this outfit, get an edge up,
So
slick
does
it
she not
back.
have a right to ask that?
I
to request
I
that?
think that is crossing the line.
Yeah.
What if it is
Well,
looking real raggedy?
I mean, I even saw that.
But to cut them off.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel-
we're
I feel
not
like-
saying you just like, you know.
I mean, maybe that's just how raggedy it looks. Like it needs to be cut off.
If it's that raggedy, I mean, this is a tough question for me because I don't even think it matters.
Yeah.
Like, we're here to share our love with our friends. Your hair looking whatever. As long as you're in this suit and you took a shower, we're cool. It's
But I mean,
fine.
I saw a question in here that was asking how much involvement your fiance should even have in your groom side of things, like as far as
That is
planning things.
interesting.
I mean, I would tell you personally. I mean, we met up with my guy for colors and different things like that, outfits and things, and it was like she was doing most of the talking. I was kind of kicked back, like, all right, it's gonna be like that. Oh, is that what you feel? Like?
Yeah.
And then it kind of came to like the money aspect of things, and then we did it like that. But I mean, yeah, you'll have your opinions on colors and things like that, but she's gonna dictate a lot of the flow. Like when you as a husband, when you get there, you're gonna figure out that most of it's about her. But as far as the hair thing, she should be reasonable enough to kind of, you know, cater to that and allow him to allow him to be in the wedding just clean cut.
So for you at your wedding, your groomsmen were clean cut, right?
Everybody.
Did you have to request that, or was it just
They should know. If you know what I'm saying, they should know. If you're gonna be a groomsman at any wedding, or if my boys hit me up at any point, hey, we're gonna be on my wedding December 24th, whatever. It's automatic. I gotta go. I have to let my barber know, my best barber in the city. Hey, bro, this is who I'm going to because I gotta be right for my boys' event. And the day of, it can't be Friday is cut for Saturday. You gotta be Saturday is cut for Saturday.
right?
You know,
Yeah.
so that I just feel like that's important. So
Let's say your best man was a complete, just off the grid hippie. Like y'all have went completely different ways in life, but y'all love each other. That's still your best friend, and he is wearing the free locks.
oh, so that actually is my best friend. His name is Joe.
Wow.
Shout out to you. He's in Iowa right now. He's totally freelance. He let his stuff. I don't want to cuss. He let his stuff grow out everywhere. He's just like doing his thing. And I just told him, I said, hey, bro, do your thing. He was on like the Will Smith thing, letting the hair grow and everything. I just told him, I said, hey, let it grow, but just edge it up for the thing, because he didn't want to cut it off. He was actually battling with me at first. We kind of had a semi-conversation like this, and I was like, no, you don't have to cut it, bro. Do your thing. I'm not gonna tell you who to be. Just be clean cut, because you're walking down the aisle, you're doing things. You're gonna be walking with ladies that take looking good into a priority. So you're gonna want to match them, because you don't want to be looking off in these pictures. These are forever. And he kind of he realized it, and that's communication.
Conversation, yeah.
Communication.
You know, now I'm thinking about it, because, okay, there was this, like, homeless person. No, I'm not saying you're going to be homeless, but I saw a homeless person on the street who had, like, long dreads, and, like, one dread was just, like, all kind of bunched together, and, like, some on the other side were kind of, like, whatever. And it was similar to the dress. I had been to Montego Bay, Jamaica for my graduation about 5 years ago, and mad people have dreads. And it's, like, sometimes they look clean, sometimes they kind of look a little, sometimes they look like not all put together. And I'm thinking, you know, if I want my wedding to have a certain look, I'm not gonna ask you to cut them off, but I'm gonna be like, you know, would you possibly reconsider? Because if we're all taking the picture and we want to look like the collective, you know, we all looking fly. I'm gonna be married. He's about to be married. You know, we're all gonna be friends with the married couple. I want us all to like kind of have like the same look. So I'm thinking if they just look raggedy, I'm gonna be like, look, because if it was on the other side, like say he saw one of like, let's say he was one of those kind of people who's really big about looks and look like presentation.
Yeah.
One of my bridesmaids had like crazy colored hair, or like had like a crazy mohawk, or some type of, you know, I would want to respect him if he's like, look, you know, my family's gonna be here, my mom obviously, and I just want to have a specific look. So I kind of feel like it depends on like the theme of the wedding, because I wouldn't want him to feel uncomfortable coming to me saying like, you know, babe, I love you, but your homie's hair, or if she had face tattoos, like I don't want face tattoos. No offense to anyone that does have face tattoos, but I don't want that at my wedding, because it just kind of takes away from like the presentation of the elegance.
Wait, so
I
if your
feel
best
you.
friend had face tattoos?
I'm sorry, it's my bad.
She probably wouldn't be your best
This is
friend.
your
She's probably not gonna be my best friend, but that's not to say, that's
joke.
not to sound
No joke.
judgmental, nothing like that.
Right.
Because like most of my friends, like they're very big about presentation,
Like
they're very
mine.
big about, you know, looking a certain kind of way. So chance, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that would be a thing, but like I said, I feel like we all kind of want to look as the collective, and we all have like a look, we want to look nice.
Right.
I don't think that it's out of line for her to ask. I think he should take into consideration, you know what, there is a look,
Right.
he is kind of standing out,
Right.
you know, maybe we could do something, put a wig on. I don't know if we can put a wig on dreads, I don't know, but something, because I don't want to feel uncomfortable at my wedding, like, oh God.
Yeah.
all the
I think
pictures
it's like I feel both sides, but it's just a matter of like when we're having a conversation, when we're getting to the line of that person feels unloved or disrespected, or like they are not accepted, is when it's too far. I feel like, because at the end of the day, like.
So what's too far? Like what's an example of well, we
Like,
can speak
so
to him, but
your
not feeling
conversation-
accepted.
Go ahead.
Okay, you're not go ahead.
So his conversation with his friend was loving. He approached
Right.
it gently, and he's like, I accept you, do you, be you, but just trim it up a little bit, versus cut that off.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Tia Bell in the chat says she's being unreasonable. So her request, I guess, is unreasonable for her to be like, yo, he needs to cut it off. She should approach it like Daisy would have. Like,
I think
so I'm assuming it's the groom's job to step in and say, you know, this is my man. I'll talk to him,
Yeah.
but he's not gonna cut it off. Basically, like he needs to be able to translate that to his wife.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cutting off is a little bit too extreme, but
Right.
I'll speak with him to see about, you know,
Right.
making it look nice and clean and this, that, whatever. I guess my take my viewpoint right now is, or trying to understand right now is, did she even have the right to ask that initially? Because it's her wedding. She wants to look, it's her big day. Women, y'all dream about this big day, like from, I don't know, when do y'all start dreaming about this? From the
It
Disney
depends on the
movie?
person, because I am
Straight
that
out the
type
womb.
of person.
I think you take into consideration too that like for a lot of different cultures and a lot of different people, the wife's father pays for the wedding too. So if he's putting forth all this money, I mean, I'm saying that's everybody. You know, I just know that my father will pay for my wedding because I was having a conversation.
Yeah.
So if he's gonna put all this money into photographers, into videographers, into everything, and there's a certain look that I want, he is going to want to make sure that one, he's getting his not hundreds of thousands, but you know, his thousands of dollars worth. And it's gonna be, I mean, it's gonna be a show, okay? But, you know, I think I would want it to look a certain kind of way, because if I'm gonna put all this money towards making it look great, like, I feel like I should have a good say-so. Now, like I said, I'm gonna take my husband's feelings into consideration. We're gonna be forever, we're gonna be together forever, you know,
Yeah.
and everything. So, but
And everything.
in everything, but you know, it depends also who's paying for the wedding. Because I think another thing is like if he's paying for it, he's like, babe, I'm dropping like stacks on this wedding. Like if my groomsman wants to have dreads, they should. That's a
That
little
is
bit too,
interesting.
a little bit. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that is interesting.
That is interesting, but I try to not make things about money, especially in the generation we live in now. You'll even come into more relationships now where the woman is making more. So then you go into a power struggle.
Yes.
So it shouldn't be more about, I like to leave the money out of it. If every situation you approach with effective communication, that's like the first thing. Because from jump, she's saying, hey, look, I feel like your groomsman should cut the dreads off. He's gonna come at her and be like, look, and he's gonna defend his boy, but still respect his wife's, you know, what she said. And you should, right? So then there's a way to take that statement. Look, wife, because you gotta respect what she says first, because if you don't, you're gonna take an L regardless, right? You know what I'm saying? So then you're gonna be like, okay, look, I heard you. Let me go talk to him and chat with him and see about cleaning it up. Me in Houston, there's people all over the place that can do something about your hair, make it over, make it look presentable, and then bring it back to her. Be like, okay, look, I did my part about trying to find a look that he can achieve. So which one of these looks, like, would you accept? And boom, kind of make it like a joint thing. So then, right, and then when you compromise and you find that things go smoothly. If you worry about, if you worry about who's gonna win at the end of the day. It's the wedding. She's gonna win. Yeah, she's gonna win. You know.
I'm thinking to myself, the tough position as a man is if she's not trying to compromise. Like if she's like, yo, no, he has to cut this off. Like that's just her stance. Like I don't care about the shape up, I want a certain look. I want everybody clean cut. Because there are women like that. What they want is what they want. And if she's like that, me as the groom, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna feel stuck in a way.
Yeah.
But I kind of have to take her side, unfortunately.
Yeah, and also
because, right.
that's also like some people, I realize like some of my friends who got married, like they don't even invite certain friends to the wedding because the wife was like, I don't want that person at my wedding.
Wow.
So I kind of feel like, yes, because I mean, sometimes, you know, yeah, there's the money thing and then there's just like the vibe, but oftentimes I have seen that it tends to lean in favor of the wife because if she doesn't like, say, how he was with him during like them being just like maybe just a relationship, you might be like, you can't be at the wedding because whatever. And sometimes they just have to go with it because a lot of times you just, what is the easiest thing to do? I need peace. Like this is gonna be my wife forever and hopefully. So I think it's, what is the most peaceful route? Is the most peaceful route to just kind of sacrifice this one day? Like how does he feel? Does he even really care to be in the wedding that bad? Like sometimes the conversation can even be had. Maybe she could talk to him if it's okay with her soon-to-be husband, and you know, kind of brings up like, hey, I'm being very honest, I'm not feeling the dreads,
Right.
and he might be like, you know what, it's cool. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
some people, it's not like a really big deal for them because they know like this is gonna be my boy's wife.
Right.
Let me not be a center of an argument.
Right.
So if it's something as simple as that, he could just have the temperament and the patience to be like, all right, cool, I don't have to do it.
Yeah, so
That is perspective.
That is definitely like that.
I was gonna say a lot of women are not gonna like that I'm gonna say this, but I think that there's an unhealthy level of control with the wedding on the female side. Like traditionally, it's whatever she says goes, and I don't think that that's healthy. Especially because the dreads is not the root of the issue. She is the root of the issue.
Facts.
And I mean, at that point, you know who you're marrying. So if you have a woman that is in that space and you are, you know, submitting to that and that's cool and that's how y'all operate, that is the woman that you're with and you know her. But as far as like having some accountability on her part and being more open, I mean, a lot of women just go in with that brat mentality. It's my wedding, we're gonna do it my way, these are the colors, and I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's healthy.
So Elizabeth in the chat, she says it's a part of his identity. I can't ask him to take that away. Yeah, to take that away from the day's event. Author, he said, where'd he go? Respect people's spiritual beliefs. The way of the Rastafari is leave them their hair all done. He also made another comment which made the title on as well. He said, they can still support your wedding, they just don't have to be in the train. So I mean, and I respect what you just said too, but she's deciding whatever in this situation. So for the friend, if he can't be in the wedding, I guess he can. I mean,
He can be there.
he could be there, right? It's just not like, okay, you just can't be here.
But what if he really wanted to be in the wedding?
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
yeah.
like then you get into
Because
like,
you have the circle of your mans that, you know, they know you're about to get married. If he experienced the engagement, and I'm assuming he experienced engagement,
Right.
build up to, you know, the wedding day and all that. I'm sure this conversation has came up at some point
Right.
because, you know, the bride's gonna ask, well, who's gonna be part of your
It shouldn't come to that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't come to this or that. If you should allow him to put you first and put you whatever you said first, and then allow him to try to fix it. You know, if every situation y'all encounter, there's like a hard, it's this or that,
Right.
or choose me or choose that. That's kind of, I don't want to say it's toxic because that's the word this generation is using, but there's a way you work through that. It's communication. You're right. It's just communication. You don't want to be all, you know, because you know I know there's a lot of I feel away about a lot of things, even in my marriage, and you know. She's strong, right? So if I'm like, oh, so if I'm like, oh, I want someone to be like this, that's her first reaction. I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, bet. 9 out of 10 times, gonna be like, okay,
Let's have a conversation.
yeah, let's have a conversation, right? So you kind of learn through that, you know, just to communicate a little
Somebody
bit.
said that's just like someone not wanting a sister, or asking a sister to cut her or to relax her hair because they don't like the look of natural hair for the wedding.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
or like you wouldn't do it?
No,
Oh, okay.
absolutely not. I will personally uninvite myself to be invited. If you ask me to relax my hair. No,
Exactly.
sir.
So
Okay.
what is the difference? Is it the double standard? The woman having the privilege that says no
Yeah.
to natural hair on a man, but yes to natural hair on a woman?
I wouldn't mind. The thing is for me, because I'm someone who is I'm a peace seeker. So if I see that I don't want you to have a problem. Like,
Right.
y'all are gonna go through so much stuff in y'all's lives.
Let my
I
hair
don't
not be
need
one of them.
to be one of them. So honestly, if it comes from a place of peace and it comes from a place of trying to just be like level-headed and not really trying to be in this power struggle or whatever, I'll just take myself out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm probably feel some type of way about him,
Yeah.
but I'll get over it because sometimes it's not about who I am. It's not about how he thinks of me. It's just a visual thing.
Yep.
You know, so it just is what it is.
Yeah,
That's
planning a wedding, it seems like takes away the magic of the wedding day. Because you have the wedding day, which is supposed to be magical, but then you have event planning, which is stressful as hell.
Yeah.
Like it's super, super stressful. So I guess, should the people that actually get married be involved in the wedding planning? Because that's the stressful part. I mean, you can know what you want and all that, but
I know, I
in
said
order
my-
to keep it magical the way it's supposed to be, shouldn't they be outside of because
I mean, half the stuff you plan
Yeah.
anyway is not gonna. Well, I'm thinking from a Nigerian wedding. Like half the stuff you plan, it's all you're really doing when you talk as far as planning is just providing a framework and how things should go.
right?
Half of the stuff that happens in the middle is gonna happen organically.
Okay, so
Like
a lot of stuff
it's
that y'all wanted, how much of y'all parents got into that?
When
Like,
it got-
that's the other part was like
So
after
when
marriage.
it got to the traditional, like the one like Judy and she did her thing with planning it, and like pretty much making sure like things were the way that they were supposed to maybe a week before. But my side of the family, they had my cousin's wedding to focus on like maybe 2 weeks prior, so they were all like with that. You know, like us, we come last second. Things should be like this. Things should be like this. Things should be like this. And Judy and her people are like, what the heck? Like flipping. So it's like as soon as we get to the wedding, it was like all of a sudden like we in the back and I'm doing my thing, I'm trying to get lit before I come out there and dance or whatever. And then it's like all you hear is like, you're about to drum, and like people just start dancing out. It's like it's my family coming out, and I'm like, that wasn't part of the plan. Like there were like 3 or 4 things that weren't part of the plan. But at the end of the day, bro, you pray a lot before that day. So you just hope everything kind of just does its thing.
Yeah.
And as long as you have an MC that you trust. Right, there was a lady that from their side that they trusted kind of to hold things down. So if things did kind of go left or whatever, she was there to kind of pull it all together. So
Did y'all have a wedding plan?
no, Judy planned it all.
She planned it all?
Wow.
She did a great job.
Kudos
Yeah.
to her, because my mama is doing all of it. I am not stressing myself over this wedding.
Yeah.
I will do the cake tasting, and I will do the wedding dress shopping.
Right.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
I am not worried about everything else, because my mom knows what I like. Like, I'm bougie, but she's bougie. So she will be able to make it look nice, and I'm not stressing. I said, look, if you want to take care of all of it, then you go handle it. You can meet with my husband, or my fiance and his family, but I know at that point in life, by the grace of God, I'm gonna already have so many other things. I don't want this wonderful, magical day to celebrate this new beginning I'm gonna have with my husband to stress me out.
Right.
So
Right.
my mama can handle it.
Yeah, that's a good take. Kenny in the chat, she says, not all women dream of their wedding day.
Correct. I don't.
You don't?
I do
You
not.
don't?
I dream about my actual marriage, like thinking about the process,
Oh, the actual
but not the
marriage itself.
actual. I've never thought about the wedding.
Really?
No. I don't know. I care more about the wedding is cool, but weddings are a little boring to me. So
Maybe you just went
It
to
is
boring
a
weddings.
very
Weddings
similar
been some kind of loud.
some of them are fun. They're fun. They're nice. But I guess I focus more on the process, like the actual marriage, more than I care about the.
That's a
I'm
good
just
take.
less traditional, so even if I do enter a union that way, it wouldn't look like the traditional wedding anyway.
Oh, so no wedding dress?
I
no
definitely
stuff,
am not
like that.
having that kind of dress on.
Really?
No.
Like a pantsuit kind of thing?
Would you have shoes on?
No.
Wow.
So you want like an outside wedding?
So
like a
this is
beach
like,
wedding.
no, more of like a bohemian setting. Just
Oh.
intimate space, ground floor seating, lots of, greenery around, and just more of really a ceremony of let us share the things that we've learned and love and have an open dialogue with the people we love rather than
Saves you a lot of
a
money.
matrimony type of thing.
So in
Definitely
order
not
to
a
prevent
pastor.
conflict, you're gonna have to find somebody that's in line with that. And what?
Well, absolutely. I wouldn't be with anybody that wasn't in line with that.
Because that's part of the compromise we're talking about, being able to, sometimes you gotta
Yeah.
give a little to get a little bit,
Right.
In some capacities, I think lifestyle-wise, like someone being a non-traditionalist is gonna be important for me. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good topic, good insights. Appreciate
That
your
was good.
feedback. I'm sorry, we'll probably jump more into some more
Right.
comments in the chat on this next one. Next one goes, men are not strong enough to handle the sexual past of a woman they are in love with. How accurate is this? I think it's inaccurate. I feel like whoever I'm with, if she is open and talking to me about her past or whatever it may entail, I think it's easier for me to deal with that versus, we spend 2-3 years together and all of a sudden it's just coming out and jumping up a situation that happened and it's all of a sudden being revealed. I'd rather it, I'm not sure what an ideal conversation would be in order for me to know about her sexual past, but when you first meet somebody, you ask questions, right? And you open up, you go through that, I'm trying to figure out type of phase or whatever, and you start finding out about things. And I feel like that's probably the phase that should happen. It should be like, we're engaged, about to get married, and I'm hearing about all this kind of stuff that I probably should have known about it.
This is an interesting topic.
When you say sexual past, I'm thinking, okay,
Yeah, what are we talking about?
Well,
how freaky she's gotten, or things that she's done, or
That's a
whatever.
conversation
Because that might be
we
kind of
wanna
exciting for me. But if she doesn't let me know, I might. And I think she's this. I create this picture of who she is, and there's actually more to it. It might catch me off guard. So I need my picture of who my woman is to be as accurate as possible, and not be full of surprises. And
Well,
it
just
catches me off
because.
guard. Even though I do like surprises, but
Okay.
surprise, 100 men.
My question is
I don't think
like, so let's say that she gives you some wild story of the last 10 years. She was a stripper, her college years, a bunch of wild stuff. And then that's just not who she is anymore.
and that's fine. She can still talk about it. Don't not talk about it, because talking about it is part of the healing
Well,
process.
yeah.
Because if she's trying to get away from that, it's hard for her to heal. Well, maybe she has healed through it already. I don't know, but it's hard. I would assume it's hard to heal from it without at least talking about it. And especially if she actually likes this new person in her life, that person might be able to help her heal away from and become this new person that she's trying to be.
I guess it just depends on the context, because if you're asking just to know, I just want to be informed because I don't want these things to come up later, it's a different conversation
That's
than us
different, yeah.
healing through because something I've done has triggered you from something that you experienced in your past, and we need to work through this. It's different.
Also, I think in any vital relationship that you actually want to have to be successful, you should always talk about sexual health in general before you engage in sexual activity with them. Because, just because they have sex with one person versus 1,000 people doesn't mean that, you're going to have unprotected sex. You expose yourself to things. And, there is this whole taboo conversation. I'm in the health field, you're in the health field. And, the conversation of sexual health is just not spoken about so much, and that's why people I know a lot of people who fall in situations where they got STDs, and because the conversation is so taboo, no one wants to talk about it. It's that's why it's unhealthy. You got to go and have these conversations. You need to be comfortable, because if you expose yourself to something, you want to know how do you go about strength. I think it's misused. I don't think that women are stronger than men when it comes to handling the sexual past of a woman or a man or anything, because I think this is my perspective and my philosophy. I think that women are bred differently. I think that we're raised in a different society where, the constant is all men are cheaters. That's the constant narrative that we hear. We don't hear all women are cheaters as often. You hear that all men are cheaters. So it kind of creates this paradigm that women should just accept the fact that men probably sleep with a whole bunch of women, and that's just in their biological nature, and that's it. Whereas, for a woman, it's like, oh, she's just supposed to only keep herself. And I think the one thing is, men have the tendency, this is my philosophy, so it could be wrong, but I feel like a large majority of men tend to operate from an egotistical state, whereas women do. So, women are more emotional, they're a little bit more understanding, so I kind of feel like they are not so concerned with the fact that they slept with multiple people because they're more concerned about the person that they're with. Whereas sometimes guys have this really large inflated sense of self where, oh, my girl, she don't want to sleep with nobody, so I'm the person, because men are competitive.
Yeah.
So I feel like, when you compete for a prize, only you have that prize. So it's kind of like they feel like the women that are coming to them, it should be like they were special enough to receive that prize. But then the moment they find out that she was the prize in so many other men's lives, he kind of like, he deflates who she is.
Wait, so you trying to
him.
say a man wanting to know about the sexual past of a woman is because of his ego?
I think it's his ego. I feel like it's not, but strength. I'm talking about the strength thing, because they're saying like men are not strong enough to handle her sexual past, because a lot of men, I believe, tend to operate from an egotistical state. So I kind of feel like if we release the ego and focus more on like, I enjoy sex as much as you enjoy it. I have body parts that like to be fondled, just like you like body parts to like to be fondled. So I feel like it shouldn't be a matter of strength, it's just a matter of maturity. It's a matter of,
Well said.
so.
Well said.
I halfway agree.
I'm a butter real, just real quick. No. I respect it. I respect it. I think like questions now, because I see a lot of like man bashing. We were kind of chatting about it earlier, and I just feel like that all of these questions now should be open-ended and asked to both men and women, because I feel like men have been doing things wrong for so long, and when they do stuff, they talk about it, they go about it in the wrong way. So, but if you really know if you know how things go in real life, you know that men and women are the exact same, and there's just different ways that they go about things, but all to achieve the same things. Because women are out there having sex too, just like us. Men are out here having sex too. Men are like, we're both giving ourselves to people. Before I would even go and select you or choose you as the person I want to go and spend the rest of my life with, I went through a list of checks and balances in my head. I've lived life with you, I've experienced things with you where I'm like, if it didn't come up before I put the ring on your finger, I really don't give a damn. If it came up before then, like how you were carrying yourself, I wanted to inquire and ask more questions and this and this and this and that, she has the right to ask me the same question. I'm not saying you don't, because how you know what I've done? You don't. I don't make that such a big, such a big topic, such a big deal. Because at the end of the day, like, there's people, even after you put the ring on your finger, people are still gonna approach, people are still gonna do stuff, and people are still gonna, like, advances are still gonna happen. From women and from men, women that wanna cheat, men that wanna cheat, women wanna cheat just like men wanna cheat. Women.
So outside of cheating though, like, I always feel like there's always, for each person is different, but there's something that you want to know about the person that you're involved with. It doesn't have to be about the sexual history.
Right.
There's just certain things that everybody's like, there's just always one or several other things that people want to know. And if you find out afterwards, and maybe that's your breaking point, at that point, what do you do? Do you be like, oh damn, I really, really wish I had known before, and you decide, well, okay, I'm just gonna have to live with it, or do you be like, okay, nah, this is the breaking point. Like,
What difference does it make? I guess that goes back to because at this point, if just the knowing changes how you feel,
the
your
knowing
ego
is
has
everything.
been penetrated.
Knowing is power. Like, knowing is what makes our reality our reality. Like,
So you knowing someone's past does not change your reality and your understanding of that person.
to a certain degree, it depends on what it is.
I see what he's saying. Like knowing, okay, if I dated a guy and in my eyes, I know like, okay, this is a great dude, he's honest, he's genuine, but then I find out that he was a serial killer and God forbid he raped somebody, that reality is going to change my perspective. What if he's a child molester?
Yeah.
Those are
I'm just saying, like, knowledge is power. So I get what
Right.
he's saying, but a woman's sexual past Now, God forbid, like, okay, what is the conversation? Does she have HIV? That could kill you. That's different.
So are
Like,
we talking
you know,
health or are we talking experiences? Because you use the word freak.
Yeah, I was just going to example.
So if
but
we're
it
talking
says,
about
so,
someone's promiscuity
in the quote,
versus
it just
someone's
says,
health. It's
men are not strong enough to handle the sexual past of a woman, whatever that is.
Yeah, I think it's
so
just
it's a
as a
generalization.
whole.
Yeah.
I agree with the health conversation. If we're talking about experiences, that's different, I feel like.
I don't know. I think I'd like to know if my
So are we
girl
talking
got
about,
a train ran on her or something.
that
I
is
mean,
also
that's something
extreme.
I
I guess
would
I'm
wanna-
not
I'm
thinking
trying to think of
so.
something
Okay, let's
that
say if she did. Now, okay, let's say she
Okay.
did get a train ran on her. So let's say she's a great woman. Let's say that she's genuine, she's held you down during your projects, she's giving you money whenever you've been down, she cooks for you, she cleans, she's always there since you bought her car, all these different things, but she had a train ran on her in her glory days.
What is
the difference now that you know that then versus now?
I mean, I feel like it shouldn't be going off that though. I feel like there shouldn't be. It shouldn't be unfair. I know some of the guys are gonna hate on me for saying that. Oh, she got a train run on her, bro. She belonged to the streets, whatever. But at the same time, there's a lot of men that have had threesomes and done this and done that. You know what you've done, fellas. So you know what I'm
You know what
saying.
you
And so it's like if we know what we've done and all that kind of stuff, right? You can't go and I won't cast judgment. I feel like it all goes into the process of me selecting that person. If I feel like, okay, look, before I met you. You know what I'm saying? Of course, throughout dating you, we're going to talk about that. But just in that process, if I'm analyzing you and everything else checks out, and I'm selecting you to be that person for me, I feel like the rest of the stuff is just effective communication. If I didn't like that you were doing that back then, just promise me or show me through your actions that you want to do that later on in the future. You know?
What were you gonna say, John? I'm interested.
I forgot reading this comment.
Dang, because he had it on the tip of his tongue. But I was gonna say, we were talking about mental health earlier before the show even got started. And I think something that is ignored in the black community and with the double standard, because male perspective toward female sexuality comes from conviction. And if someone got a train ran on them, that is for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
She has there was something going on inside for her to even open herself up to be used in that way. So the conversation really shouldn't be how does my manhood feel about you being had by 8 dudes at one time versus how did we get to that space? Were you abused? Was there something going on with your self-esteem? Was there daddy issues? Was there whatever? Like, are we asking, what is the reason we're asking?
I don't know if I agree with that.
Wow.
Because I agree with what you're saying, but I always feel like there's
But you don't think
another
there's a
side to
bigger
it.
problem
Okay.
or
No,
a bigger concern?
No,
Yeah.
that can be a reality. That's one side. But then there's always another side where people just have sexual fantasies. Because you wouldn't say that about a guy who says, "Oh, I had sex with 10 women at one time."
I would. I think
But
male or female is unhealthy.
and here's the thing with a man. A man would be proud to say that, and it wouldn't be I was feeling down or I was going through some things. That would not. Well, I can't speak for all men.
Because
at
it's
least the guys
generally
I know.
accepted in society that a
Yeah,
man,
because
his manhood is predicated upon oftentimes how many women he's able to defile. I feel like you have to
Yeah,
look
and
at
then
those.
at the same time, he's feeling like, he's God, like just on some real stuff.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I understand the other side that you're talking about in terms of, okay, well, there must be something going on internally. Yeah, there probably is, but it's not the same case for everyone. Some
if
people
we-
just want to fulfill a fantasy that they thought about a long time growing up, watching porn, and it's like, oh, that looks gratifying. I want to try that. I've actually met a girl who said getting a train ran on her was a gratifying thing because it's something that she thought about when she was watching pornos growing up.
But you
Like,
don't
it's
know
just-
the
That is-
source of
that is
it.
I don't,
traumatizing.
but if that's something that she's like, that's what she wanted. That's what she wanted. And
I mean, but again, at this day and age, I feel like you can't, like, just the way things are trending, you can't really separate men and women and be like,
Right.
like men can do this and women can do that. As much as we want to, because we're always going to judge, as we shouldn't, but we're always going to judge. Whether it's the man selecting the woman or the woman selecting the man, your viewpoint's always going to be like, man, I would hope that this person didn't give himself to everybody, or did this and did that, or had a train, or whatever. But if you did, you did. It's the same as the man. Men are gonna look up amongst men like, oh, he's the man, he's God, whatever. But deep down, when you talk to your woman and this and that, she's still gonna look at you like you're dirty.
Yeah.
So it's it's the same both ways. I feel like.
And if she
saying
puts her
that
body
men-
and everybody, I feel like, I'm not saying she should, but I feel like it's one thing, you're giving more than just your body to the person that you're with. You're giving your
Right.
spirit,
But,
you're giving your mind,
Some people
your
are not
soul.
elevated spiritually to be there.
Right.
Like, that's why I can understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying too. Like, even for me, I'm a father. I have a 15-year-old, a whole 15-year-old, turned 16 this year. That's the last thing I want her to be in a position of. So, like, and like, I know her. That's not something that will be a reality for her. But if it ever was, I know it would have to be in the route that you're talking about, something extreme in her life going on, and it took her to that point. But what I'm saying is that reality is not the same for everybody. Some people is literally just, there's a gratification in that. Like, look at Hollywood. There are women that literally their position in life in Hollywood is to sleep with as many athletes that we think, or just celebrities in general that we think are untouchable. That's just what they do. Like, it's a gratification aspect for a lot of these women. Now, they may have gone through things growing up, yeah, there's that, but that's not their reality. Their reality is the gratification aspect of it. Oh, I slept with this person that is Mr. Perfect in the eyes of the world, but I know his dirty secrets. I know everything about him, that probably stuff that his wife doesn't know. There's a gratification in that. And they do it over and over again to as many well-known people that we know, but the world doesn't realize what's really, really going on. But that's a reality.
Do you believe that things happen for no reason? I think that, because it seems like you're
The world is
positioning,
so synchronized, so I don't know if
Right.
it's happening for no reason.
so it's like you're positioning people who just are that way. I don't think that people are just anything. I think there's a root cause to everything. And it may not be some extreme physical trauma or being raped as a child or whatever. Seeing unhealthy porn at a young age is traumatic. And even the comment on men feeling like they're the man, I think that's where we do a disservice to men. Even though they think in their head, I'm the man because I have these 10 women, you're even further away from your own healing because you think this is a good thing. It's unhealthy to have these devious sexual, thoughts or actions that you're taking. It all comes from somewhere, is all I'm saying. Like, even though people want to hear that traumatic story, something as small as being exposed at 6 to some kind of wild orgy is traumatic. And then that's going to influence your choices moving forward if nobody addresses it for you.
True.
Okay, so we're gonna jump to the next topic. That was good though. I appreciate you saying that and bringing that up. Next topic, y'all. How can you be in a long-term relationship and not know your partner's phone number by heart? Is it really that serious?
Who knows anybody's number?
I only knew any of my ex's numbers because we got together, broke up so many times, and I deleted their numbers. So I would remember the middle 3 numbers just in case they wanted to come back. So eventually I was like, okay, this is who they are. And then eventually through seeing it so many times, I eventually remembered their numbers. Because why would you? The only reason why we remembered numbers was because we didn't have phones to like store them. Or like I had like a little address book that like had like my friends' names on it and then like their numbers. So I'm like, oh, let me go call Angela and whatnot. But I don't even know my sister, my siblings' phone numbers by
Do you
heart.
know your parents?
I know my mom.
I know my
but
mom's.
I've known my mom's number because, when exactly, like I didn't have a phone.
I mean, I know her number by heart. I mean, I feel like it's just how involved you are with that person. I'm gonna sign her name on documents and do stuff like she knows my stuff.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to call me to get into half of my things. So it's like if I know I can go, I need to know her number because at some point, who knows? God forbid, I may be driving to Austin for school or whatever, doing something. Then my phone messes up, or I get in a crash. God forbid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for the emergencies.
And I gotta be able to know. Yeah.
I blame technology.
You what?
Yeah.
I blame technology because there's a lot of numbers that I could easily memorize when I was younger, and then the cell phone kept evolving and evolving, and I had no reason to.
Well, we have the cloud, so the cloud holds everything. So you don't have, granted, when do you really need to know someone's number? I guess it's in a state of an emergency, you go to jail or
Your phone
you're
dies,
stranded.
you need to,
Or your phone dies and you someone next to you. But you're not, there's so many, I guess if it's your person, that's different.
It depends on, I guess, the relationship. Like the last relationship I was in, we lived together, so we were each other. And I moved from Dallas, so he was my person here.
Baby, what's up?
So we memorized it for that, but other exes, I didn't know theirs. But if you need it, yeah, in an emergency, you should know somebody's number.
Well, I guess it does say long term. I just realized it does say that.
Oh, yeah.
Long term.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll be exposed to it probably a number of times.
Yeah.
Just in general.
So naturally, your brain's just gonna pick it up.
If it's like someone
Yeah.
long,
Yeah.
well, I've known my siblings long term and I don't know their numbers, so never mind. So yeah, it's typically because anytime I needed to contact them, I would just either call my mom, and if I didn't know the case, can you call Brittany, my sister, or you know, my phone is here, it's fine, and I can just call her from my phone. And if I'm in an emergency, chances are well, I'm just saying like for my siblings, like I can call my mom. If I can call them, I can call my mom. So for my long-term partner situation, like I will call my mom first probably, or my dad, before I would call my partner about something. Now if you're my husband, that's different, but I kind of feel like there's gonna come a point where it's just gonna come to you naturally, so you don't need to.
Yeah.
But my cousin cussed me out one time because she was like, my number is very easy, you need to remember it, because in state of emergency, which I've never had to actually call her by phone, but she was like, my number is easy, so you need to remember it. So I sat there and I did flashcards, like, okay, remember her number, and I remembered it, but that was the only time, was her telling me I should remember her number.
Yeah, definitely in times of an emergency, there should be at least one number you should remember, right? Like you out in the middle of nowhere, your phone dies,
911.
you run out of gas, 911, that's it, right?
That's the only one, right?
Elizabeth in the chat, she says, oh, it's not that serious. Which it's not, but not until there's an actual situation where you need to reach somebody. So I guess 911 would be the number you call when you ask them for a charge.
Right.
Someone said, what about remembering birthdays? Now that's a big deal. You need to remember my birthday, and I need to remember your birthday, because that's very important.
I'm bad with birthdays.
Me too. It's in
But my
phone.
girl's birthday, I know, yeah, but I'm bad. Generally, with birthdays,
Yeah, I have a close circle of birthdays. I'm like, oh, I have to remember these birthdays. Like,
Right.
There's no reason why I shouldn't remember these birthdays.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'll save it on my phone. Who has an iPhone? You have an iPhone? Oh, yeah, I have iPhones. And it reminds you of whose birthday it is?
No, I remember anyone in my life that's special. I just remember. I love my birthday, and I love my friends' birthdays. I love to celebrate my friends. So when they don't remember my birthdays, which there was a friend of mine who I'm not gonna say, but she forgot my birthday. I waited the whole day. I didn't say anything to her, and I was like, she's not gonna remember. And I specifically waited till 12:01, and I was like, hey, what's up? She's like, oh, how you doing? I'm like, my birthday was yesterday and you're in trouble. So I'm just like, I'm a birthday person, so I want to be a birthday person too.
I don't even know what day it is sometimes. So I have to have it on my phone because I can't remember
Facts.
days, especially with quarantine. Days just like bleed together.
It's today, yesterday, and tomorrow.
All of
Right.
it.
That's
Yeah.
what it's been.
And somebody in the chat says, if you don't know my birthday, we're done.
Wow.
That's,
tough.
I guess I can understand.
I guess
that.
in a
If it's somebody close, right?
Relationship.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say we're
relationship,
done.
If we talk about the long-term relationship, dang, my phone.
Yeah.
Well, why do they forget? I mean, people sometimes things happen. You know, you have your own life. Like, I'm not gonna be now. Are you my boyfriend? My first boyfriend forgot my birthday. I was very upset about that, but then I got over it, and he remembered every year after.
I mean, literally, you have a calendar. Just put it in your calendar. That's literally it. I see a lot of that in the chat.
But
Like,
you use your calendar. It's not like
Yeah.
a digital calendar that reminds you, or like a paper calendar. Because I have
The
a
one on
planner.
your phone.
Yeah,
Oh,
your phone,
okay.
yeah.
And then
Yeah,
just
like even
every
in my
year.
contacts, I can put people's birthday and it automatically jumps to my calendar. So I have a task list that I look at every day and my calendar that I
That's a
look
lot.
at.
That's a lot of work for me.
But
If,
so, I mean-
if Facebook don't
I'm
tell
the
me,
same.
bro, I might forgot.
Now, I mean sales. So like a lot of,
Right.
whether it's like prospects or people that are actual clients, I have like notes and information I put about them. So if they text message me, and I can't remember where they are, I just reference different notes. Same thing with birthdays. If I know they have a birthday or this is their 2-year anniversary or 6-month anniversary from purchasing the car, reach out to them. Hey, happy
Yeah.
anniversary. It's been 6 months. How's it going? Like, there's just certain things that you put. Like, and this is outside of this close circle. I think you should, remember birthdays, different things about your close circle. But after, outside of that, the brain is capable of remembering all that, but we're not there yet. I don't think we've evolved to that point. So you have to put notes to remind you about certain things. So I think that's important.
And I think it depends on the person. I think most of these things is like, okay, the person that you're with, you have to see like, what type of person are they? Do they care that you remember these things? Like,
Right.
some guys don't even know when their own birthday is.
Right.
So it's like, I remember one day I called my dad and I was like, happy birthday? He's like, it's today? Like, yes, today's your birthday. So some people just don't care. So if you don't care for yourself, I cannot expect you to care for me if you don't even care for yourself. So.
Facts.
All right, that's what's up. Jump into the next topic. This is a tough one for me. So you just found out that your 14-year-old daughter is pregnant. How will you handle the situation? Exactly. Whew.
I wanted a daughter first, and I had a son, but shout out to my little man. But my daughter, whenever that happens and she comes to me with that, the biggest, right, God forbid, but if it were to happen, for a daughter especially, and that young, you gotta approach her out of love, because your first initial reaction is not gonna be like, what the, you might be pissed off, but at the same time you're like, you can't really show her that, because she won't ever come to you for nothing serious again, so you have to kind of like take a step back, but hey, look, she's 14 and pregnant. She's young, she doesn't know nothing about life already, and then she's in a situation where she's scared. So if she comes to you already with that, you're gonna wanna, kind of let her know that you have her back, and then you go talk to wife about it later. Be like, hey, this is serious. We gotta like stay on her or do something, because it shouldn't have happened that young. And then on top of that, now we have to go into a situation where we have to be there now to support her and the kid, because she's 14. Half the time, the guy's not going to be there. By the time you're 21, the guy's going to be gone, or whatever. So you have to be there to support your daughter and the kid. So
for me as a parent, man, I would approach the same way you did. Approach with love, and so she knows that, because I'm sure she's feeling all kinds of emotions. So I just want to reinforce that I do love her. We acknowledge that a mistake has been made, but that's not the end of the world. Once I get back to mom, it's like, I honestly would feel like I failed as a parent.
okay.
My mind would automatically start going to different situations that have happened that could have kind of like steered away, leading to that path of what has happened. And for me, I think the hard part would be, the tough part would be digesting that as a parent, so I can be strong enough and be there with her as a parent as she's growing into this new stage of her life. But for me, a hard part is kind of like digesting that. Like, what do y'all think?
I mean, first I'm going to ask, number one, were you raped? Because if you're 14, who's having sex really like that at 14? One. So, they are. But then at the same time, if you're pregnant, I still feel like I'm going to ask you, like, okay, was this consensual? I'm going to ask those questions. And then once I find out, of course, I'm going to give her love. She's already afraid. She's already going to be stressed. She doesn't know what's going to happen. So I'm not going to respond with anger or frustration or lecture her, because at that point right now, first I'm asking questions. I need to talk to the boy that impregnated her. Right. I need to talk to the boy's parents. Right. How old is this boy? Does he even have parents to talk to? Because he might be grown. I need to talk to the school. I need to talk to the librarian. Someone got to say something to me. Why is my daughter pregnant? Right. So I'm going to ask questions first and figure out how things happen before I even move forward with how I'm going to approach it, because sometimes it's a situation where it may not have been consensual. It could have been like, God forbid, with like a teacher or a person that they knew at a party, and you know what I mean? Yeah. So oftentimes I'm gonna want to know, I want to know who my daughter is first. So if I know my daughter's like a really good kid, and I feel like you can get a gist for your children if you're really involved, I need to ask these questions first. And then once we've kind of laid an assessment as to what could have possibly happened, then I just want you to feel comfortable, because I don't want you to now have this child that's growing inside of you, that you're now creating a life, and you're gonna try to feel like you can't come to me. So children are already, especially teenagers who think the world is against them, like, I don't want you to go running away or doing something crazy or taking a drug to, my response scared you, so now you gotta do something drastic, like, but then again, you gotta ask, okay, what do you wanna do? Do you wanna keep the child? Or do you want to give the child up for adoption?
So you would leave that option up to
That's what
the
I was
child?
gonna ask.
I mean, I'm gonna ask only because I don't want to force her body to do something that I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a kid, so you have a kid, you have a kid. So you guys can give a better perspective, but for me, I'm gonna ask right now, like, if she wants to get an abortion, which I wouldn't want to offer that to her because her body is so precious and you should never kill a child, but
So if she wanted to get an abortion,
That's my question.
if she
What
wanted
do
to
y'all
get an
think?
abortion, we just have to talk to the pastor. I don't know.
I mean, I would talk to her. I would sit down and talk to her and kind of convince her to keep it. At such a young age, man.
But that wreaks havoc on especially a still developing body.
Right.
Like, what if she has very narrow hips? We don't know that. What could she? You know what I'm saying? There's so many things.
I mean, abortion is such a sensitive topic. Though it depends on the nature.
Woo.
It kind of depends on
But
the
I'm
nature.
just saying, I'm not
of
saying
what's
I would
happening.
want it to be, but because that is people get abortions, and I'm
No,
not trying to
facts,
say
facts.
that it's okay.
Right.
But if she is already grown enough to go out and have sex and get
Right.
pregnant, she clearly might have access to things, and I have to ask. I don't want her to do anything now moving forward
Right.
without my knowledge, and I need to understand, okay, you already made the decision to have sex, you made the decision to have sex unprotected, and now you got pregnant. So moving forward, we kind of need to come together and have a conversation.
I mean, if it was
Because
consensual,
what if she goes and does it?
if she goes and does it against my wishes, that'll be or me and my wife's wishes, actually, that'd be a whole separate conversation. But I feel like if she's 14 and if it was consensual, like it was you and this dude you was talking to, you thought you was grown, got on some stuff, ended up pregnant, and it wasn't no rape or nothing else where the situation was more extreme, you have to, at some point, you're gonna have to grow up and realize, hey, for everything you do, like there's a consequence, or now you have to take accountability for that. It's a child. It's a big deal. I mean, you should keep it.
Like forcing a child to have a child? That's a lot.
But she's gonna have parental support. That's on me and my wife now as a household to now not convince her, but to talk to her, educate her, and be like, hey, you have the support. Like you have your family.
But
you have people.
he's not saying force her to do it.
I'm not saying. Yeah, I
his-
would try. Like,
his anger
Well,
would be
she's a minor, right? So in essence, you
Make the decision.
make the decision.
Yeah.
but I wouldn't want to. But being a woman at
it's
that,
tough.
I wouldn't want to make a decision for her.
Yeah.
Because then if you do that at that point, that could affect the rest of her life. Make major.
Either decision is going to affect the rest of her life. She's
Right.
either going to have this deep set regret or not be able to have kids when
Right.
she
Yeah.
does want to, or she could have a baby, something could go wrong during birth, she dies.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Who knows?
So Loretta in the chat, she says, Jesus, take the wheel.
Please.
Adela says,
Please.
time travel, go back to where she wasn't pregnant. It's not that simple, but
Like, I need a drink.
Right.
so
Let my daughter come.
he says this. He makes an interesting comment. He says, it's a kid, not like you're dying.
Wait,
It's
what
a
did he say?
kid?
It's a kid. It's not like you're dying.
So, having the kid is not like you're dying.
Yeah.
Wait, who said
Yeah, like
that?
it's not the end of the world.
And
It's
was
not
it
the end of the
Amanda
world.
said that?
Yeah. Huh?
Amanda said that.
Yeah, like I
Oh.
said. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just helping her understand that life is not over. Because when you're 14, you think that right now is it, and everything is such a big deal, and you have no concept of how lessons happen, how things change, how things work out. So trying to give her a wider perspective that this doesn't mean that you're going to work at McDonald's for the rest of your life.
Even
Right.
16 and
Right.
pregnant,
Right.
that exposes a lot of kids now to, it's possible to have a child at a teenage age.
Right.
And so I think, there's a lot of resources, but I don't know. I think it's one of those things where you just have to talk to the doctor, talk to the kid, and you just have to make the best assessment according to your child and the health of the child. Because what if the family is suffering and they can't take care of two kids? Like, I have you, I'm already suffering trying to take care of you. Now we got another newborn. That's
And that's a new reality
Multiple,
because
and that's
you know
hard.
for a fact that as a parent, you're going to be the one raising that child.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
only
like
you.
you're raising two kids, but you still have your child, and now you have this little baby growing up and you're gonna be the person responsible for it.
I mean, but there's ways to make it work. At that point, that happens now. You have to sit down with your spouse and construct how things will go forward. Because yeah, you will be the main one taking care of, but that dog's gonna get to working. Whatever job you're at, you're gonna be contributing. Like you're gonna be like, if you make $1,000 a month doing retail, whatever job you're doing, if you're in the house, living in my house, the baby's in my house, that's gonna go to something.
Yeah.
Right? And then me and my spouse will take care of everything that has to encompass around the kid. As far as, we'll do our part, but it's gonna be definitely a collective effort. And through that, you'll grow up and be like, man, okay, I know the decisions that I made. I grew up, I became a mom or, dad or whatever,
And that's important. Go ahead.
Even though your kid, that teenage age is weird because they can make decisions that affect everybody, but I am still responsible for you
Right.
and everything that you do. So we just gonna have another baby. We just gonna have another baby.
Kayla Princess in the chat, she says, let her know she is loved and that we'll make the best decision as a family and support her going forward.
Yeah.
So that goes in line with everything that y'all said. What if she wants to have an abortion?
Right. What if we coming with the love support, we got you, and she's
And
like,
then she's like, oh, I want to have an abortion.
right.
I would just have to expose her to all of the information about the risks of having an abortion. I'm not going to, because if I say no, I cannot keep her in the house for the rest of forever. She's gonna have to go outside. So if she has it in her spirit, she wants to do that, and I say no, and she wants to go, maybe I talked to her about not having sex. She wouldn't do it anyway. She got pregnant. So if I tell her not to have an abortion, and she goes out and does it, I don't want her to go to some rinky-dink place because she couldn't maybe afford it. So she went to one of her homegirls had an abortion at some place where they do
Oh,
butt
that's just
shots.
so hard.
So I would want her to feel comfortable coming to me, and then I would probably have to just research the best place, because if she really has in her spirit to do it, she's gonna do it.
This is
So you have to teach, you have to offer.
It's
In my mind,
tough.
it's like, is allowing your child to have an abortion reinforcing that, okay, even if you get pregnant, you can just go and have an abortion? Because this is still a child.
Right.
And every action that's being taken after that is very, very intricate, because it's like this child has learned from whatever resolution we come up with. So if we're like, okay, yeah, let's go have an abortion. And we do it. We make it a good process for her, a healthy process. She learns everything she needs to learn. Has an abortion. Is this opening the case to, okay, next time if this happens?
There's no consequence.
But if she does it, the problem is if she does it anyway. So I'm saying, she may not want to have this kid. What if she's the star athlete in her, 14 years old, you're in 8th grade?
Yeah.
She's probably the star athlete of her basketball team. And she wants to continue to be playing basketball, and she knows she can't because she's she's pregnant. So now she goes on the internet. You can find anything on the internet, and at-home abortion the toolkits.
Right.
You don't want her to then ruin her life, because so you have to see what is the conviction she has for her. If she's kind of I don't know, Mom, should I have an abortion? Should I not? I'll talk to her. But if she's like, Mom, I don't want this kid, you cannot force her not to, because on a day she might be going to school, she might skip school and go and get it done without your knowledge, and then she could fall sick and God forbid die because you didn't want to do it with her. So we have to be realistic with the options these kids be having, because you didn't know she was out here doing what she was doing. So she might be out here doing the same thing too.
So I don't know anybody that's had an abortion, but I know when women have babies, they go through a postpartum phase. For women, when they have abortion, is there a phase where they go through where they kind of are in a
Yeah, I haven't had one personally, but women do go through.
Spiritually or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I know women that
It could
have
be
up
right
to 6
after,
abortions. Some
Or
of
it could
them-
be years later.
Yeah.
People still regretting 20 years ago I didn't have that baby.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It depends on the person.
But then there's people who have had kids, and then unfortunately are I wish I didn't have these kids because certain things happen. There's so many different stories.
Yeah, it just depends.
A woman came home, she was upset the fact that she had her kids, she was stressed out, putting her babies in the oven.
Yeah.
So let her get the abortion and then just put
Yeah.
on birth control. Problem solved.
Huh?
I I do not believe in birth control.
I would put my child on birth control at that point.
Well, somebody needs to believe in birth control because this
Yeah,
child is
because
gonna get
We have to
pregnant.
have it's so crazy. This is a hard topic because
is.
it depends on who your child is. We don't know who this kid is.
My kid's
that
going
we're
to
talking
Nigeria.
about.
That's it.
Right.
I'm sending
I'm
her to
sending
Nigeria.
you out
I'm like,
to Africa.
you know what? You're gonna go to Nigeria. You're gonna stay with your grandmother. You're gonna be out there. You're gonna be in the village.
Right.
You're gonna be a village house girl.
Right.
And then you're gonna learn. And then when you're gonna see this pain and suffering, and then when you come back, you won't even want to think sex.
I have a comment.
It's-
Elizabeth in the chat, she says, all of y'all saying this and that, at what point does this child get a beating?
Oh.
Oh,
no.
I mean,
I'm not beating my child for having sex. I'm not gonna beat her.
listen now.
That is very counterproductive.
Yeah, it's not gonna make a difference.
I mean, I don't know. I don't.
What are we-
I'm not listen.
Why would we be her?
Listen. So once she's pregnant, so there's no putting your hands on her. Period. But I mean, then you go into a whole discussion about are you going to spank your child at all from birth and growing up? So a lot of people believe that there's like psychological things that are impacted with that. If you do that. I don't know about putting my hands on my daughter. I know my son will get a whooping from time to time. I might let my girl handle that. But
True.
but I don't think I won't put my hands on my daughter. I don't want her to get used to that. They think that's
So
okay.
you let your wife beat her, not you beat her.
I'll let her discipline. No.
For this situation, a beating is
It's not
not.
gonna do
yeah.
anything. She's still pregnant.
But for this situation, that won't solve anything. But there's been plenty of situations in my life where an ass whooping has changed my direction in life. I'm not gonna say for real. No, for real. I'm not gonna say that I just condone it because now in this generation there's gonna be a lot of people that are moving away from beating their kids, whooping their kids. I'm not saying you have to go ham. There's gonna be some days you come home from work, you don't want to take out your long stick on little Susie. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to do that. But at the same time, there's a way to discipline your child, in a way where it's like, hey, look, I'm doing this to you, or sometimes you may not even have to. It may not be something you do all the time. Like watch the frequency as well. But how you discipline your child, out of love first. The beatings don't matter as much, I think, at this time.
Yeah,
But if you do here and there, I mean, we got it growing up. We ended up.
I was getting my ass
We ended up fine.
constantly. I was still
Right.
bad.
If you're not going to beat them, what is the action to take?
So I know people do things like taking things away. Like, oh, okay, like if they have a TV, if they watch TV until a certain amount of time.
You're having the child in
their phone.
Nigeria.
No,
That's
I'm
what
taking.
we're gonna do.
You said what?
That's the
Wait,
punishment. You're going to. I'm telling you, my child is 14 and she's getting
I mean,
pregnant.
by Nigeria, she might not come back.
She will
She
come
could
back.
get pregnant
Well, that's all
again.
I
There's
think
no
that
salvation.
exposure makes a big difference in a lot of people's eyes. When you live here and you have this, you are born into fortune essentially, because the moment this land is yours, so you're able to have so many opportunities. Versus there, that's why most of our parents tried to come over here because they saw many lack of opportunities or the suffering that was out there. So I feel like you were grown enough to have a child. Okay, cool. I am sending my child to Nigeria.
Okay. Loretta in the chat, she says, sex education and real life communication with your kids is very essential. Kayla says, take her to volunteer at all the schools for homeless children. Jimmy says, maybe the real topic is how discipline should be handled. I guess taking them to Nigeria does sound like a good disciplinary action, but for people that don't have that,
That sounds
True.
traumatic
You can't
to
beat-
be
but you can't
inserted
beat
into
this.
another culture.
True.
That would be pretty traumatic.
yeah.
But at 14, there has to be a point where she's not operating off of punishment because we're shaping
Yeah.
an adult now.
Exactly.
We have to teach accountability and you experiencing life giving you consequences.
Okay, so at what point should you actually start teaching your child, especially young girls, sex education?
As
As soon as
talking.
Yeah. I mean, I
Very early.
in elementary school, it's hard. I know we had the little talk in the video when you got the little box of at the condom. And everybody got the little sex education thing growing up. But I think it should start early. Sometime.
So, I mean, what
I
do you
started
talk
learning about sex in 2nd grade from my friends.
I was talking about it in like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. I knew about sex
And
what it was.
9
my
years
mom taught
old.
me at 6 when I went to school because she needed me to understand what sexual parts were and what was not appropriate.
Yeah.
if adults were to touch me.
those
Right,
things.
so what about the conversation about sex,
Intimacy,
when it happens, intimacy, all that kind of stuff? how the baby is made. When you're in that situation, how to like, kind of like exposing their child to people that have gone through it. Because I'm not going to name the show, but there's a reference to a show on a certain network that talks about, that exposes people to young teens that have been in that situation, what their life experiences are. And so like, I feel like that's also part of the education part that's missing, because that's reality, right? So you can teach a child all about sex, how it's, you know, you shouldn't have sex until you're married, all that kind of stuff, or sexual health, to teach them all about all the diseases that are out there. But you need something that they can relate to, or at least kind of like start picturing in their mind, you know, how much they would not want to be in that situation. So like the show on this certain network that we're not going to mention, it exposes the audience to people that are actually going through that. So young teenage pregnancies, how their life changes. A lot of them are very, very miserable. A lot of them talk about how the guy's not in their lives anymore and how it's a struggle, how they wish this didn't happen. Some of them even talk about how, you know, they're glad they didn't have an abortion. It's still a struggle, but they love their child. So you get these different kind of emotions from different people. And I feel like that's important for, you know, I'm learning now as I'm talking, and I'm picturing all this in my mind. Like, that's important to expose a young child to, because like, you can tell a child, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. They're gonna do it.
That makes them want to do it more.
Yeah, but that's like the DARE program. The DARE program lost its funding because they were trying so hard to prevent children from taking drugs, but in fact it encouraged children to take drugs because they saw how many people were on drugs. Same thing with the TV show Scared Straight. You have these kids who are actually in the jail and having the inmates show them like, oh, this is what's going to happen, but they still end up doing it. You have to relate to that child, because we are really good at desensitizing ourselves when it comes to it not being about us, and we, especially children, they think they're invincible. So that won't be me, no matter what. So you can expose them. I think the best thing is understanding your child's communication style, understanding your child's personality style, and appealing to who they are as a child, because you start developing personalities as early as like between 2 and 7 years old, which is the window of opportunity for child development. So it's those times when you kind of put forth those characteristics and disciplining them and kind of teaching them respecting themselves and their bodies and what is so important about it, and talking to them like, hey, you know, you love to play video games. Well, how would you feel if I took your video game away from you? That's what's going to happen if you end up having a kid. You're never going to have that time to play video games because you got to take care of your kid. That child will be able to relate to that, not seeing someone else in their situation, because what if the situation that person is going through doesn't even bother them? So, you know, so you have to think about, what does the kid individually need?
Respond to.
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand that fear-based teachings with society, with kids, does not work. So instead of teaching you to be afraid and these are the terrible things about sex that can happen to you, giving a well-rounded explanation and teach them appropriateness and preparation. This is something that is actually beautiful and can be safe and healthy. Here's how, and this is when it will be appropriate for you to enter that space.
So Judy in the chat, she says, I don't know why people think sending kids to Nigeria would do anything. My brother went for 2 years and nothing changed. So she had a situation where her sibling went there and spent 2 years there and nothing changed. I have some family members that went home and nothing's changed.
Well, changing the environment doesn't change.
Well, it depends also what type of lifestyle did the child live. I think, you know, if living at home was similar to village living in Nigeria, that could be different. But if you are born into fortune, you were born into money, or you were born into, having things given to you how you want, you don't have to cook for yourself, you don't have to do anything, putting them in a different perspective, I think it just kind of gives them a little bit more of a wide span of thinking, and kind of like puts them in a place where, you know what, I see this, I was in it, and I appreciate it more. Like, it wasn't until I moved to Houston that I didn't understand like certain dynamics with like families and people, because I grew up in a little tiny town in Dallas. So, you know, and the town is so small, like we all have the same perspective, we all have the same lifestyle. So when I came to big city Houston, I was primarily mostly friends with like white people, and then on top of like I had a couple like black friends, but the city only had like 5 to 10, if 10% at all, Black people. Then I came here and I completely changed my perspective because I was put in so many situations that forced me to think outside of my realm of the little tiny town in Dallas. So that's what I'm saying, it just depends. Now me, I seek to understand things differently. So it depends on the child. If they just want to be how they are and it's an internal thing, then you can put them in a lion's den and they're still gonna mess with the lion. But it kind of depends on the child and how they grew up and what teachings you've already put on that child before they got in trouble.
Pairing internal work with white perspective. Yeah.
Right.
What about keeping your child busy? Like, is the child bored and they have all this time to their hands to do everything they're burning?
Well, it depends on you. What are you doing? Like sometimes the parents are too busy themselves trying to take care of the house, take care of the kids, take care of themselves, take care of a sick parent themselves. Like, you know, you can try to keep your child busy, but the busier your child is, the busier you may end up having to be because that kid won't have any access to those places if you don't take them there. And you got to be involved.
Right.
So I think another issue is a lot of parents are not involved with their kids. Like, you know, and I think that's the biggest thing is keeping your child too busy and outsourcing your parenting is what's causing a lot of kids to kind of do their own thing because they're getting their insights from everybody else. They're getting their insights from their mentors, their teachers, their friends, their coaches when you're not involved. So
especially
I feel like
from the internet too, we have cell phones.
exactly.
Stuff,
You gotta give them cell
yeah.
phones they can call. You can do whatever, but even if you put something on the phone, they can go take their friend's phone and look at that.
Right.
So you have to be as involved according to their temperament and according to their personality, so that way they don't have this issue. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a tough one.
Someone says, let's ask this question again when everybody has kids. I do have a child. I'm trying not to go deep because it's very, very emotional for me to think about. Like, honestly, I'll just have a conversation with my child and try to figure out what she wants to do, what's healthy for her. If she says she wants to have an abortion, we'll go learn about that, and if she still decides that that's the route that she wants to take. Like when I say we'll learn about that, we're going to learn the whole 360 route about it, and what the emotions and things that she may go through afterwards, what is entailed in an abortion. She needs to know everything about it before she makes that decision, and if she still decides to, then it is what it is. If she decides not to, then I just know that, you know, I'm still a parent, and I'm about to be a parent to her child as well, because she's still young growing up. You know, it's important for kids to still have the time to grow up. You know, I've heard of situations where people got pregnant and they sent the actual child to the grandparents' home so the child can still find some way of being a child and still grow. They still have a relationship with their child, but they're not being forced to be a parent 24/7, especially if their actual parent is not like a parent, but the grandparents are. You know, that kind of
But then you
situation.
run into the fact that your kid may not have the same respect for you, and then they don't identify with you. I've seen that plenty of times with my friends. They don't identify with their actual parents. They identify like they respect
caregiver.
their caregiver or their grandparents. Like grandparents are like
kids respect who's
parents.
actually there taking care of them.
Taking care of them.
Consistently, like, you know.
because they see the sacrifice and they see like it's also like a trust thing. Like even though kids try to act like they got it all together and you know they don't need anyone, because you know kids try to always act like they're just so big and strong, but then they always come home to whoever's taking care of them, and they will respect that person more. And I was a nanny for like 6-7 years, and I noticed like the kids I would take care of, because I would punish them more than their own parents did, or their parents just let them have whatever they wanted, and so they respected me more at times than their own mom. So they would call me first, like, hey, I got in trouble at school with this, like, what do I do? I'm like, I'm not your mama, don't call me. Like, but then I would talk to them and be like, well, you know, what happened? And they're just like, well, you know, my mom's not around, or my mom's always working, or my mom is doing this, or my dad, or you know what I'm saying? So you can do that, but then you run into the lack of connection that the child may have with their biological parent.
Right, definitely should be a balance of how much time you spend with that kid, because you know everything's intentional. So that's what we were talking about earlier. If you don't put in that time with the kid won't know you and won't respect you. So I'll piggyback off that.
It's a sacrifice on either
so-
side.
Right.
Good points. So we're gonna segue to the next topic, the last topic actually. your husband/wife and your baby test positive for COVID-19. There's only one ventilator, and you have to decide whose life to save. Who will you save and why?
My child, easily.
You gotta save the child. I mean, it's like an unspoken thing that kind of goes down. Like, as I feel like you should want to protect your wife and kid. You know, your wife might step up in that moment and be like, "Oh, I want to protect you too," and or actually, most likely she's gonna want to protect the kid first. But if she goes into a situation where she's like, "Oh no, the kid, like me, you can lose the kid, and me, you can go together. We can try again. We can do this, whatever." But at the end of the day, you're gonna want to protect your wife and kid. So I feel like the man should step up. You shouldn't even be a discussion. Then you be like, let the kid.
But they
You
might be
don't-
unconscious. So they might be like, what if they fell into a coma?
Right, and she has
So she has to make the choice between the husband and the kid, right?
I would have to respect whatever she chose.
So-
I mean, at that point, I would have to respect whatever she chose. But I would hope she kept the kid. And
Yeah.
I'll figure
As a
out.
man.
Yeah, as a man, I'll figure out the rest on my own. I mean, that's an L. It could be an L, but I've seen people that have came out of it. So being on the ventilator and all that kind of stuff is not the end all be all.
Oh wait, so you don't need a ventilator to
No.
to survive through it?
If you get on if you're
No one
so
really knows.
right so if you do get COVID-19, there's situations where it can be extreme and there's situations where it can't be extreme. There's situations where you get it and you can walk around asymptomatic. There's situations where some of the symptoms may flare up and you can treat them as they go. And then it goes away. You can self-quarantine for 2 weeks, and then get tested multiple times to make sure it goes away. And then your body develops antibodies against it. It can be recurrent. You can get it again, but if you have the antibodies, when it comes back, it won't be as severe, right?
Right.
Then there's situations where you get it, depending on your health. It could be a young kid. Most times an adult that already has a comorbidity, so already has something going on with them, heart issue, the whole nine, whatever. If they get it, then the symptoms are way more severe. Then you end up on the vent. When you're on the vent, at that point, you can be on the vent for however long God says you're on the vent, or you can be off the vent and end up dying, or you can be on the vent and come out of it, So if you come out of it, they teach you how to speak again, get stronger, and we send you back home. I treated a few patients that have had COVID, got physical therapy, where a week had no body function the first couple of weeks, the first week or so. Then as each day comes and we do therapy on them, they start to come out of it. They're using a walker or no device and they're walking home, but there's still a significant amount of weakness. So I would just, count my blessings and just be praying at that point and hope that I come out of it. If I'm still in the state where I'm awake. But if I'm in a coma, then she's praying for me. My people are praying for me. And if I make it out, I make it out. If I don't, you and the kid can ride on.
Yeah.
That's how it
had
should
to
go.
do that, but I had a friend 4 years ago who had to choose between. He had to either say the mom was having difficulty having the child, so she would end up losing a lot of blood and she ended up passing out, and so he had to choose between saving the child or saving the mother, and he chose to save the mother, and the mother ended up hating him because of it.
Right.
Because why would you choose me over my child? This is a part of you.
Segue to that point, there's a comment that says, I will save my husband because my child cannot help me more in the loss of my life.
Your husband might not be able to help you more because many times the death of a child breaks up a family. Because what if you guys have this kid together, obviously, and this is what kept y'all together, but the child's no longer there. Some people deal with trauma differently. Some people become alcoholics. Some people just become distant. Sometimes they just develop a depression and they can't stay together. So just because your child will always still love you, no matter what. I mean, some children, they do end up, kind of going a little wayward, but your child is your blood. That is you. They possess they possess piece of your DNA. Your husband, I don't believe in just one
So
soulmate.
you saved the child,
Yeah.
and now you're mourning the loss of your husband, and now you're raising a child by yourself. Versus
Mourning.
you save the husband, you lose a child. It's not a happy situation, but you can grow through that with. This is your husband. This isn't like some random person, right? So you met this person, you're married to this person, y'all created happy moments with each other. You dreamt about building a family. You lose this child, you can still have another child to help rebuild, right?
But you don't
So
know
there's-
what happens. You develop an attachment to that child.
Right. I mean, that's natural. I mean, I totally get that.
Because
But
what if he gets mad at you?
so that's kind of like saying, would you rather have the opportunity to be able to have another child with the person that you love, your husband, or would you just, okay, I'm just gonna be a single parent and raise this child on my own?
I'm gonna be a single parent. I'm gonna raise my child on my own because my baby ain't going nowhere.
I mean, the mental state that you'll be in after losing the love of your life, you're not even gonna be really raising that baby. Your family's gonna come to
Right.
support
Yeah.
you. You're gonna be really, really messed up. I mean, I don't know. I don't have an answer, but I can see what that person is saying. If you think about a whole life that you've had, 35 years of life, however old you are, and everybody, you know how we all feel about love. We're all looking for that person, and you do come across that person and you have that, which I'm speaking from not having kids, so I don't really process what it feels like to be connected to a baby. But I can understand them feeling like this is us experiencing this versus saving the child. It's messed up
Like,
either
I
way.
have a friend that she lost her child. It was a very, very terrible situation. Like it was bad. She broke down. She went through a lot. Her family was there. Her husband was there. They already had one child. And fast forward to after the healing process, now they have another child.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like seeing that story from the outside, it's like I have a child, so I understand the emotions. Well, I don't fully understand because she's a woman, but I can relate to the emotion that she felt when she lost her baby. But then I see her in the future now, she has another baby, she's happy, and I see the transition of the emotion she was into, the emotion she's at now. And she's experiencing that with, her husband. So it's like, to me, that seems like, both situations would be bad.
Tragic, yeah.
Tragic. But it seems like a better story than, I'm a single parent. And I know the community's still gonna be there, but at some point you're gonna be by yourself. You're gonna be thinking about the person that you love, the fact that they're not here with you to experience this child. In my mind, I'm like, you can have another child with the person that you love. It's not an easy decision to make, regardless of which position you take, which stance you take. But the fact that you have somebody there with you that you generally love, care for, your mate, this is the person that you're traveling this life path with, and they're supposed to go through the ups and downs. Like,
Yeah.
But you don't know
Your
who your
life
child. But you don't.
partner.
But the problem is, you don't know who your child might end up growing up
You
to
don't.
be.
You
So
don't.
your child could be the child that could have found the cure for COVID-19. The child could have been, finding the cure for all things cancer, or could have found the answer to world peace. I don't think we should cancel the opportunity. Like, for a lot of people, yes, you still have opportunity as you grow, but many times at that point, a lot of people have the tendency to kind of set what things that they've already done and kind of continue in that lane. I'm not going to opt out of my child's opportunity for greatness or for just a life for me to experience with them and them being a part of society because I want to be selfish and fulfill my needs for my love and happiness, which I'm a Christian. My love and happiness is sourced in God first before man. So I'm not going to put that in another man. I'm going to put that in my child. So that's why I'm saying, yes, you can go on and the child dies, you can have another one, but it's not going to be the same kid. So I just personally feel like, it's a selfish act essentially to choose between your child and your husband or your wife, but there's more chance of opportunity in a kid who hasn't been able to can be the stepping stone for a whole new generation versus someone who's maybe in their 30s or 40s or 50s who might have already kind of fulfilled their purpose or they're doing things. Like they could fulfill their purpose at 60 or 70 or even 80. But ultimately, I think it's the children of today are what create what we'll have for tomorrow. And we need to give all kids the opportunity to get that chance.
I feel you, but it's like twofold with the could, because since it is just could, and I actually know this person, we've actually lived together, we've actually grown, I know what that is, and we're trading that for who this baby could have been, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's tough. I mean,
I mean, even
That's
if,
a hard.
it's a tough situation.
What if he leaves
'cause
you the
even-
next year? Someone in the comments said, what if he cheats on you the next year? What if he divorces you the next year? What
Oh.
happens?
I mean, everything is a what
We're
if.
dealing with what ifs.
Exactly, you have to see realistically what.
What if your child
What if
is a
your child
badass
grows
kid?
up to
Right.
be a
And,
heroin
like,
addict
yo,
on
I
the
really
street?
wish
You
your
raised
dad
your
was
killer. You could have raised your killer.
Raise
So
a killer.
who knows? Who knows? But I think a child who cannot choose for themselves should. I guess it kind of goes to the first time.
I think a child deserves a father and a mother. In any ideal situation, and I'm not in no way am I saying that you're wrong for your thinking. Definitely not. It's just my opinion. I feel like a child deserves a healthy balance of the masculine and feminine energy in the household. A child needs to know what stability is at a young age, and I feel like that's very, very important. And if there's a way to mitigate that, do that. Like, I mean, you can always find somebody new, but
What if she can't have a child again after she lost that child? What if that was a miracle baby? I was a miracle baby. My mom lost her first child after 7 months. And so she was pregnant 7 months and lost the baby. So afterwards tried again, couldn't. Then had me. So it's like, what if, God forbid, you did choose and you've always wanted a kid?
I mean, and that's the beauty of
difficult.
life. Miracles happen, right? You know, and I don't know.
You bring up a good point though, because what is the quality of that kid's life growing up with a single mom who is completely depressed and grieving for years?
I mean, I think there's right answers on both sides. I think we kind of went through it. Like, even if you chose to now, like, keep the baby and then spare the husband. Husband dies, the wife can start over, get someone new, you know, and then try again, have a new husband, stuff like that. But then the other side, if you let the child die, sad, you know, very sad and traumatic, but then y'all go and live life together, y'all can grieve together, y'all can experience life and grow together through it, because she's experiencing the bulk of that, right? But the man is going to be there to kind of be there for her and help her to get through it. And then from that point on, y'all have to be like, okay, you know, we are strong, we can get through this. There's a bunch of different things you might go through. Mentally, spiritually, she might be broken. So you have to, if you chose better for worse, you got to be there for her to help her get through that time, right?
And that's the vow that goes on to, because they're married. So it's like, that's the vow that you.
Right, that's what I was
Right,
gonna
so
say.
it could go either way. To me, it could go either way. Like, the man could step up, or the woman could step up and be like, no, I'll take the L, like, keep the baby. Or on the flip side, you go into like, no, let's go ahead and lose the baby.
No, the
and then-
vow is for the man and the woman.
Right.
Like, through thick and thin.
Like, you're supposed to
ups and
choose your
downs.
spouse over your
Yeah,
child,
you're supposed
according
to, like, that is
to
the
Christianity, right?
Right, but
Right.
but your child, you have a child, you know, especially on the woman's side, it's gonna take precedence to everything. Like, she's gonna put the child first before you, even more so. You know, it's natural.
Well,
She-
my question
she-
is, so is this
child.
so my other question is this a matter of she can choose, like, the child will live, or the father, or the father will live?
Yeah.
Yo,
Is it like
says
saving?
you have to decide.
So you
whose
have to
life
decide.
save.
Yeah.
Okay,
Whose
so
life
it's
to
not a
save.
matter of, okay, this person.
Like, you don't know. Yeah, we're not doing
Okay,
with
so
chances.
choose.
Of, like,
Okay, okay.
Yeah, like you have to decide.
Because I would choose also, another thing is, you have to use the percentage of livelihood, or like actual good health. I don't know what the word is.
Right.
Like, is it choosing between two people that are unconscious of my child? It's a 60% chance that my child can live versus a 90% chance my husband can live. You know,
Yeah.
they're still high above 50%, but I guess you have to make that analysis or that assessment, which would be the best. I would still go for my child,
Right.
because that's my baby, and you know, naturally like, you're a survivalist. Like, you choose to always make sure that you're good, your children are good, your husband is good. But I kind of feel like it is an instinct to save your own. I just
Right.
think that is, my child has my blood, have like my DNA in them, versus my husband. And I'm not saying this, you might say this, but you might find your husband that next month. Like, there's people who've been married for 40 years, divorced, and that same year they find the actual love of their lives, and they live a great happy life afterwards. So I just think, like, you have to really see, like, where does your perspective lie under? Like, what is your focus? Do you want to create life and continue to create legacies? Because your child carries on your legacy, not the husband. So if the child lives, they can actually continue to instill and force whatever perspectives or whatever teachings or learnings or businesses that you have already established. That the child does that, not the husband who is now gone.
My question for the traditionalists, like people who are Christian, who believe in traditional marriage. this is your life partner. You're experiencing everything that happens to you both together, right? So this would be a situation that we experience together. It is you and me. We are experiencing life together, period.
I mean, but sometimes as the man, you can still like. Again, I feel like it can go both sides.
I know for you,
Yeah,
like you would want
yeah.
to sacrifice. You
I
would want her
probably
to.
want to sacrifice, but if it came to a point where we're having a discussion where it's like, you know, I'm getting more of a viewpoint like Megan's, where it's like, nah, I mean, I can keep the kid, or then I get more of a, you know, opinion like yours, where it's like, you know, we can actually like kind of let the kid go, and we can kind of grow through it together,
Yeah.
because you know, we can get through it together.
Yeah.
It's either way. It's kind of just.
It just depends.
It's a-
Terrible
Because
it's a-
parents they divorce after this because the trauma is so great
Right.
that they cannot handle it.
I'm actually reading that now. Like Diola was like, she said my husband's likely gonna be the same, and as far as the same, she's saying that like I want you to choose the child and not me. And if he chose me, like just know after the relationship, like after you come out of it, we're finished.
We're finished. That's what I'm saying. Like
You
people
know?
do. Like the woman, like I told you about my friend who had the same situation, left him. He wanted to be with her, so he chose her to live over the baby, and she was so just distraught because this is my baby. I spent 9
Oh
months
my
creating this
God.
child, and
Serious.
she left him.
Yes.
And it
That's
killed
terrible.
him. Well, they didn't kill him exactly, but you know. But the issue was he tried to make a decision based off of what he felt, having
Yeah.
my life partner. But the thing is, I think it's kind of one of those things where you might have to have that conversation, a random conversation, like,
What
would
if-
you choose me? Like, we have to have those conversations because that makes a big difference on. Well, I want to be with, but then again, you have the kid and perspectives change.
Right.
So we can only speak based off of the understanding that we have at this point in time, not being in the situation.
Which is
but
very
but if we're in the situation and you got to choose, you
So,
might
yeah.
not really truly know.
This is definitely a topic that I feel like people who are dating and end up getting engaged and about to be married, you want to know who your partner is going to choose, right? You want to make sure that y'all are on the same vibration, you know, to make sure that, you know, y'all feeling the same vibes. Because I understand both sides. Me personally, given the situation, my instincts would want to be, you know, I want to save my child. But I also know that, you know, this may be a situation where me and my wife need to grow and elevate to the next level. And, you know, I mean, it hurts to say, you know what, like for me, I would say, I think I would say I'll save my life,
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
it's like, it's just, I don't know, it's a tough one, but I know the reasons why I would want to save my life. I feel like we would have another opportunity to have another child.
That is.
And I mean, we still will do what we can to save this child the best way we can, but there's the opportunity for us as people who have taken vows to walk this path together and be there
Right.
for each other,
Right.
and we have the opportunity to still be there for each other, we can have another child, you know. And now if it's something drastic and I know, you know,
It would just
I
kind of
can't be saved, then it makes sense to save the child, and it will make sense for me to want her to meet another guy who can be a positive, good father figure in my child's life. But if we know we have the opportunity to raise a family still afterwards, we gonna raise that family afterwards.
But I want to feel like my husband is going to always protect his own before me, and I kind of feel.
So that makes you second question whether
I
or
do.
not it
I
works?
would kind of question, like, I'm not saying, I just feel like, well, you chose me, yes, but
Because then
I
who
mean,
becomes
you
your,
are his
who
own.
becomes your
You have
protector
become
after that?
one with him.
Like if you know, like before all of this, you never second guess your man in terms of protecting you and the family. Who becomes your protector after that? Because now you're a single mother raising a child. Yeah, the community is there for you. You got your parents and everything, but you have the moments where you're by yourself.
I mean,
You know, I know
it's kinda
plenty
like
of
a
single mothers,
catch-22.
and they're not happy to be single mothers. It's not an easy task to be a single mother.
yeah, but it's
Or
not an easy
single-
task to be the mother of a dead child. So I think regardless
But
of
They're both.
still-
They're
Yeah,
both.
yeah,
They're both.
Yeah.
both-
They're
both
both
They're
very
both
much.
very heavy,
Yeah.
and I think it's choosing your own and your husband, yes, but God forbid your husband dies from another cause, whatever. You have to take into consideration that you still have your kid. That is a part of you. That is something that you can't deny that. Like
Yeah.
some people go their whole lives thinking that their husband is their everything, and we're talking about these concepts, this and that, but ultimately we don't know. Because
Yeah.
like I said, one day they can just wake up and this happen. We've heard stories of a man wakes up and he just says, I don't love my wife anymore.
Yeah.
I mean,
They don't love
this is
their
true
husband.
though too across the board because kids. There's plenty of people I know that do not talk to their parents or
Yeah.
people's kids that are literally heroin addicts on the street. Like everything is a what if. So if we
Yeah.
kind of leave it on the table, if both outcomes would be great, your husband would stay with you after, or your child would be a great person. It's really challenging. But then what you were saying, like I understand from the male perspective with your friend that chose the wife and her being like, this is my baby. The male experience and the woman's experience is so different.
It is.
Your connection is, I mean, you're growing the baby.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's a tough
I
one.
agree with John's point.
We may talk more about this on another episode because we did go way over time. Appreciate y'all patience with this. But yeah, it was a great episode. Like, it didn't feel like a lot of time passed by. I'm sorry I couldn't get to all the comments in the chat. I'll read through them and probably reference them in later episodes when we do kind of like skim over this topic again. But thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and share with your family and friends so they can like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe button is right here if you can see it. Do y'all have anything to say before we go?
Follow me on Instagram at Megan_better, and just be entertained because we're gonna have more like this hopefully in the future.
For sure.
Right. Follow me on Chief_Dejo. Music is coming, don't worry. And I'm very excited for it. And also stay safe, family stay safe, everybody stay safe, and protect yourselves. So.
Follow me on Instagram, Yogi Jazz Porter. I'm a Houston-based yoga teacher, and I'm doing virtual classes right now if you're interested. Y'all stay safe.
And if y'all are not yet, definitely follow us on Instagram, cTalkTV. Follow us on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate your attention on these topics. And if you have any great topics in mind, feel free to let us know. And if you want to be a part of the show, definitely let us know, and we'll make sure that we can get you on. Thank you, everybody. Y'all have a great Sunday.
That was great.